God and Archangel Michael beg you, open this now. Something huge will unfold within 72 hours. Michael says this is urgent. A heavy shift is approaching your life. Hear this before you break. My child, pause for a moment and feel the air shift around you, because something within you already senses that this message carries a weight that is gentle yet unmistakably important. You are here for a reason, drawn in at a precise moment when heaven is trying to move you from confusion into clarity, from inner noise into a quiet knowing that steadies your spirit. I speak to you with urgency, not to frighten you, but to help you recognize the subtle tug you've been feeling in your chest, that whisper that keeps saying, "Pay attention now." You have not imagined it. You have not exaggerated it. You are simply standing at a threshold where insight is ready to break through. There are times when divine guidance arrives softly, like a feather landing on still water, and there are moments like this, when the message comes with a firmer tone, inviting you to stop, breathe, and listen with the fullness of your awareness. This is one of those moments. Not because disaster is hunted, not because tragedy is fated, but because something in your life is shifting, and heaven wants you prepared, protected, and anchored as clarity replaces confusion. The word emergency here is not a threat but a summons to alignment. It is a reminder that your spirit deserves to be steady, guarded, and awake. Right now, dear one, you may feel as though your thoughts have been clouded or scattered, as though you have been trying to navigate fog without a lantern. Even in your prayers, even in your quiet reflections, there may have been a sense of delay, uncertainty, or emotional static. That is why this moment matters. When confusion rises, clarity often stands just behind it, waiting to be invited in. What feels overwhelming has not come to defeat you, it has come to invite divine participation. Archangel Michael is near you in this very moment, not with a sword raised in alarm, but with a shield of calm authority, ready to guide your awareness back into peace. His presence does not bring fear. His presence brings order, protection, and the quiet strength that says, "You are not walking this alone." Feel that truth settling around you like a warm mantle. Allow it to dispel any tension tightening your shoulders or your heart. If you are willing, place a hand over your heart now and take 3 slow breaths. Each inhale is an invitation. Each exhale is a release. With the first breath, let go of the noise. With the second, welcome in steadiness. With the third, open the inner door through which clarity can enter. This simple act aligns your awareness with the flow of divine protection that has been reaching for you. You may have felt nudges, synchronicities, or small inner warnings lately, nothing dramatic, just subtle signs that something needed your attention. Perhaps you dismissed them. Perhaps you delayed responding. Today, heaven brings those signals into focus, not to worry you, but to prepare you. The next 72 hours are not a countdown to fear but a window of awakening, a period where your intuition becomes sharper and your path brighter. You are being called to notice what you used to overlook, to trust what you used to second guess, and to walk forward with a deeper sense of guidance. As you continue listening, you will discover why this message sought you at this exact moment. You will understand what has been stirring around you, and you will feel the stability that comes when protection meets awareness. Let this opening be a doorway, not an ending. Let it gently guide you toward the deeper understanding waiting in the next part of this journey. Even now, dear heart, you can sense the atmosphere around you beginning to soften, as if something sacred is preparing to unfold. Trust that this gentle stirring is evidence of the clarity drawing nearer to you. Nothing is being rushed, and nothing is being forced. You are simply being invited to lean in a little closer, to listen with a quieter spirit, and to allow yourself to be guided into the next revelation that awaits you. You are ready to receive more now. Beloved, before you take another step into this message, breathe and let yourself be seen for a moment. You have been carrying more than you let others know, moving through your days with a kind of quiet strength that hides the weight pressing against your spirit. The fatigue, the emotional clutter, the financial pressure, the relational strain, they are not signs of failure. They are signals, invitations, markers that something within you is asking to be tended rather than judged. You have pushed through circumstances that would have made others crumble, yet you often dismiss your endurance as just doing what needs to be done. But dear one, heaven sees the nights when your thoughts keep circling long after you want them to stop. Heaven sees the mornings when you rise even though your heart feels heavy before your feet touch the floor. These experiences do not separate you from God, they draw you nearer to divine presence. In moments like these, the contrast between isolation and presence becomes clear. You may feel alone in your thoughts, but you are not abandoned. You may feel unseen in your efforts, but you are not forgotten. What feels like isolation is often the quiet place where God sits closest, waiting for the noise around you to soften enough for comfort to reach you. This is the sacred truth you are being reminded of now. You are accompanied, even in your exhaustion. There is nothing wrong with you for feeling overwhelmed. Sensitivity is not weakness, it is spiritual intelligence. The fact that you notice subtle shifts in people's tone, the atmosphere of a room, or the unspoken tensions in your relationships is evidence of your perceptive spirit. You are someone who feels deeply because you are someone who is guided deeply. Your intuition is not an accident, it is part of your design. Your heaviness does not disqualify you from guidance. If anything, it becomes the doorway through which guidance enters. When your heart aches, it becomes more attuned to the gentle movements of heaven. When your mind feels cluttered, the desire for clarity becomes stronger. When you feel stretched thin, your soul becomes more receptive to the reassurance that God has been trying to deliver. None of this is a punishment. It is preparation. If you feel comfortable, take a moment to write down a simple reflection. What feels heavy today? Do not analyze your answer. Do not judge it. Just let the words fall onto the page. This small act allows your inner world to breathe and makes room for presence to enter. Sometimes clarity begins with permission to acknowledge what has been weighing on you. Dear heart, you have not been walking in circles, you have been walking through layers. And you have not been walking them alone. Even now, as you listen, there is a quiet reassurance rising within you, a reminder that something sacred is unfolding around your life, even if you cannot yet name it. Hold that awareness gently, for it will guide you into the next understanding waiting just ahead, where the unseen conflict begins to reveal its shape. Beloved, there comes a moment in every spiritual journey when you sense that something around you is shifting, even if nothing obvious has changed on the surface. You feel delays that make no logical sense, emotions that rise without warning, or subtle tension in spaces that used to feel safe. This is the realm of the unseen conflict, the place where spiritual and psychological friction meets your daily life. It is important to understand, dear one, that this conflict is rarely about specific people. It is almost never about a single moment or a single mistake. Instead, it is about patterns, old echoes that bump against your growth, outdated mindsets that resist the new clarity trying to reach you, and emotional habits that no longer fit the person you are becoming. These patterns can feel like betrayal, not because someone has deceived you, but because certain energies or dynamics seem to work against your peace. Yet what feels like betrayal is often a sign of misalignment rather than malice. You may be outgrowing environments that once held you, routines that once soothed you, or relationships that once reflected your values. When something no longer fits your spirit, friction appears. What once felt comfortable becomes draining. What once seemed clear becomes confusing. This is the contrast between betrayal and protection. The friction that feels like a pushback is often heaven's way of escorting you out of what is too small and guiding you toward what can hold your next chapter. You may notice it in the delays that make you question your progress, the sudden tiredness that stops you mid-sentence, or the emotional fog that settles without permission. These are not signs that you are cursed or blocked. They are indicators that your sensitivity has increased, that your awareness is rising, and that your spirit refuses to move forward on autopilot anymore. In this light, beloved, the unseen conflict becomes less of an enemy and more of a messenger. It reveals what drains you, what distracts you, and what diminishes your peace. It also reveals what strengthens you, what steadies you, and what deserves your continued presence. The friction is information, not condemnation. And as you begin to see these patterns clearly, a new kind of empowerment emerges. You start recognizing when someone's expectations drain you, when a routine no longer supports you, or when a commitment you made out of obligation has begun to suffocate your joy. These realizations are not betrayals of others, they are acts of protection for your own spirit. To honor this awareness, choose one boundary that needs strengthening. It may be the boundary of your time, your availability, your emotional energy, or your willingness to tolerate what consistently drains you. Even a small shift creates room for divine protection to function more clearly around your life, guiding you toward healthier connections and environments. Every time you honor your boundaries, you choose protection over betrayal, clarity over confusion, and strength over depletion. You reclaim the energy that once leaked into situations that were unworthy of your spirit. And as you continue this practice, you will begin to recognize the unseen conflict not as a threat, but as a guide steering you toward the life that aligns with your growth. Take a moment now, dear heart, and feel how your awareness is already shifting. What once felt mysterious or heavy is becoming understandable, and what once confused you is beginning to reveal a pattern. This is the first sign that clarity is taking root. As you continue forward, you will learn how to recognize the subtle markers that signal divine confirmation, the gentle cues that show you when heaven is speaking. Allow this awareness to soften your spirit and prepare you, for the next step in this journey will bring you into a deeper understanding of the signs and confirmations waiting to guide you. You are ready now. Beloved, there comes a moment on every spiritual path when the unseen begins to press gently into the seen, and you realize that the patterns around you are not random at all. They form a language, a subtle conversation between heaven and your awareness. When your spirit becomes more attentive, confirmations begin to surface in ways you didn't expect. Dream symbols sharpen, repeated numbers appear at unlikely moments, and emotional nudges feel less like passing thoughts and more like quiet guidance. These are not coincidences. They are invitations, signs that you are being drawn into deeper alignment. As your awareness increases, the border between the physical and the spiritual becomes thinner, and you begin to sense how heaven communicates through everyday life. A conversation overheard at the right moment, a name you keep encountering, or a sudden peace settling over you may carry meaning. This is the contrast between the seen and the unseen, the world you touch and the world that touches you. Once you recognize this sacred interplay, nothing in your day feels accidental. You start noticing patterns that rise like gentle waves, guiding your attention without ever overwhelming your spirit. Sometimes the first signs appear in your dreams, where your conscious defenses soften and your spirit becomes more receptive. You may not remember every detail, yet a symbol, a color, or a feeling lingers with unusual clarity. Other times, the signs show up in your body, a sudden warmth, a sense of being watched over, or an inner yes or no that arrives without explanation. You might brush these sensations away, but they are part of the language heaven uses to guide you. When something matters for your next step, the unseen often chooses the path that reaches you most gently. You may also notice external confirmations that seem to cluster within short periods. Repeated numbers, songs resurfacing at perfect moments, or unexpected encounters can signal that guidance is drawing close. When your spirit is in a state of heightened listening, clarity often rises within certain windows, sometimes within 24 hours, sometimes within 3 days. These time frames are not deadlines, they are gentle markers, reminders that heaven responds when your awareness turns toward the light. During these periods, even the smallest detail can carry meaning, and your intuition becomes the bridge between what you see and what is quietly unfolding. To deepen this connection, create a simple note on your phone or journal titled, "Signs I Noticed This Week." Write down anything that catches your attention, even if it seems insignificant at first. By capturing these moments, you build a dialogue between your conscious mind and your spirit, allowing meaning to bloom where it once went unnoticed. This practice anchors you in the present while opening you to the unseen, helping you interpret guidance with clarity rather than doubt. As the days unfold, you may be surprised by how these small pieces weave together into a message meant just for you. Beloved, as you begin to honor these subtle movements, you will find that the line between coincidence and confirmation becomes easier to discern. What once felt random will begin to feel intentional. What once slipped past your awareness will suddenly stand out with undeniable clarity. This is how heaven trains your inner sight, slowly, gently, consistently. And as your sensitivity sharpens, you will feel supported rather than overwhelmed, guided rather than lost. Allow yourself to trust what resonates deeply, even if you cannot yet explain it. You are being prepared for the next layer of understanding, where spiritual authority and protection take on new meaning. More clarity awaits you. Beloved, pause here with me, because this is the moment where the atmosphere around your life begins to shift. You have been sensing something, an unseen strength drawing near, a quiet reassurance rising beneath the noise of your worries. That presence is not here to frighten you. It is here to steady you. Archangel Michael does not arrive with threats or ultimatums, he arrives with clarity. He arrives with truth. He arrives with the kind of protection that restores your faith when fear has tried to take the lead. In this space, you are safe to breathe, safe to reflect, and safe to feel the nearness of heaven. Michael's authority is not harsh. It is not domineering. It is ethical, grounded, and deeply protective. When he steps close, the first thing he brings is order, an inner realignment, a settling in your spirit, a sense that things scattered are being gently drawn back into coherence. His presence ushers you from fear into faith, from tension into calm awareness. What once felt overwhelming begins to loosen its grip, not because the situation has changed yet, but because you are no longer facing it alone. This is the quiet power of divine authority. It changes you before it changes what surrounds you. There may be parts of your life where you felt unprotected or unheard, moments when injustice weighed on you or where someone's actions left a lingering ache. Heaven does not ignore these wounds. But divine justice, beloved, does not operate with vengeance. It moves with restoration. It brings truth to light, brings clarity to confusion, and brings balance to places where your spirit has been carrying too much. Fear tells you that you must fight everything by yourself. Faith reminds you that heaven fights with you and for you, guiding you toward peace rather than conflict. In this contrast between fear and faith, you may notice that your body responds immediately. Fear tightens your breath. Faith softens it. Fear narrows your focus to problems. Faith opens your vision to possibility. When Archangel Michael surrounds you, that shift becomes almost tangible. You may feel a lightness in your chest or a release in your shoulders. You may sense that your thoughts suddenly feel clearer, or that the worry looping in your mind begins to quiet. This is not imagination. It is the effect of spiritual protection moving through your awareness. To partner with this clarity, take a moment today to do a simple energy hygiene check. Look at your inbox and clear the messages that pull your attention downward. Glance at your finances and make one small organizing step, even if it's just writing down what needs to be addressed. Choose one physical space, a desk, a table, a corner of a room, and bring it into order. These small acts create openings for divine guidance to move freely. When your outer world carries less clutter, your inner world finds more room to breathe. Protection works hand in hand with clarity, and clarity thrives where space is made for it. As you make these small shifts, you may feel a growing confidence rising within you. Not a loud confidence, not a forced one, just a quiet, steady assurance that you are guided, guarded, and held. God's presence does not vanish when life becomes complicated. If anything, it draws closer. You may not always feel it in dramatic ways, but you will notice it in the moments when peace arrives unexpectedly, when insight blossoms without warning, or when your heart settles after a long period of tension. That is divine companionship, dear one. That is the presence that has been with you since the beginning. Allow this awareness to settle gently around you. You are not moving through your challenges without support. You are not navigating confusion without guidance. As you continue forward, the protection surrounding you will help illuminate the path from delay into release, showing you how the very places that once felt stuck can transform. Let this truth anchor you as you step toward the next understanding that awaits, the unfolding of the reversal path that brings you into movement, clarity, and breakthrough. Beloved, there comes a moment when the pressure inside you can no longer be ignored, a moment when the delays you've been facing no longer feel random but purposeful, almost as if heaven has been orchestrating a pause to prepare you for something greater. This is that moment. You are stepping into a shift, one that moves you from the weight of waiting into the freedom of release. And the path there is not chaotic. It is a sacred sequence, a gentle arc that begins with a single pause and unfolds into forward movement. You are ready for that arc now. First, let yourself pause. Not as a retreat, not as surrender to overwhelm, but as a conscious breath that interrupts the constant spinning of your thoughts. When life feels delayed, the first instinct is often to push harder, to chase answers, to force clarity. But beloved, chasing drains you. Carrying centers you. When you pause intentionally, you reclaim the energy you've been spilling into worry, into what-ifs, into the fear that you are somehow behind. This pause becomes the doorway to clarity. It gives heaven space to speak and your spirit room to listen. Clarity, when it comes, is rarely loud. It does not shout. It arrives like a light turning on in a dim room, revealing what was always there but previously unnoticed. You begin to see what has been weighing you down. You notice the conversations that leave you drained. You recognize the commitments that stretch you thin. You identify the habits that clutter your mind. This is the contrast between delay and release. Delay clouds your inner vision, while clarity brings everything into focus. With clarity, you no longer confuse overthinking with intuition. You begin to trust the soft yes and the quiet no that rise from within. Once clarity arrives, the next step is boundary. Not walls, not isolation, but healthy, compassionate boundaries that protect your peace. Without boundaries, clarity cannot take root. You cannot step into release if your energy keeps leaking into situations that exhaust you. A boundary might be as simple as giving yourself permission to say, "Not today," or stepping back from an environment that consistently weighs on your spirit. It may mean limiting access to someone who drains you, or choosing silence where you once over-explained. These boundaries are not punishments. They are calibrations that align your life with your growth. With boundaries in place, intention becomes possible. Intention is your inner compass, guiding your movement without forcing it. It is where you decide, not from fear, not from exhaustion, but from alignment, what you want to cultivate, where you want to go, and how you want to feel. Intention transforms delay into preparation. It takes the energy that once scattered in 100 directions and gathers it into a clear, steady direction. Even a single intention, held gently in your spirit, begins to shift the atmosphere around your life. And from intention comes action. Not frantic action, not the kind that burns you out or leaves you feeling empty. These actions are small, steady, aligned, steps that feel like truth rather than obligation. This is where release begins to show itself. Movement returns. Solutions unfold. Opportunities appear. Emotional pressure softens. What once felt stuck starts to loosen. Action becomes the physical expression of the inner clarity you have cultivated. Heaven can guide you, but your steps are what carry you forward. To support this movement, consider a simple 7-day micro-practice. Each day for the next week, choose one small stabilizing action. It doesn't need to be dramatic or impressive. It might be organizing a corner of your space, sending the message you've been avoiding, updating a document, taking a short walk, or journaling a single sentence about your intentions. These small actions become threads that weave release into your daily life. When practiced consistently, they transform the feeling of delay into a sense of grounded momentum. Beloved, as you walk this path, pause, clarity, boundary, intention, action, you will feel the shift. What once felt like resistance becomes alignment. What once felt like stagnation becomes preparation. What once felt heavy begins to lift. This is the reversal path, the sacred movement from delay into release that heaven is guiding you through gently, one step at a time. And as you continue, a new question will arise within your spirit. How can you anchor this transformation with practices that protect your peace and shift your inner atmosphere? That is where the rituals and declarations of protection come in, the next part of your journey, waiting just ahead. Beloved, as you arrive in this sacred moment, allow your heart to soften and your breath to settle, for this is where ritual becomes a bridge between your inner world and the protection surrounding you. You have walked through layers of emotion, uncertainty, and quiet hope, and now you are being invited into practices that turn fear into faith and scarcity into overflow. Rituals are not about performance, they are about alignment. They remind your spirit that you are not powerless, not abandoned, and not without support. When you enter a ritual with intention, you create a space where heaven can meet you in the quiet places of your being. Archangel Michael responds not to fear but to openness, and when you choose faith over anxiety, your spirit becomes more receptive to his guidance. These simple practices help you shift from depletion into renewal, from inner scarcity into a sense of spiritual overflow that reminds you that you are held. Nothing about this is forced, everything about it is invitation. Now, dear heart, if you feel comfortable, prepare to speak a short prayer that invites peace, protection, and angelic clarity into your atmosphere. You may whisper it, you may speak it softly, or you may hold it in your spirit. The power is in your intention. God of peace, surround me with your light, steady my mind, guard my path, and let Archangel Michael guide my steps with clarity, courage, and calm protection. As you breathe after speaking those words, feel how your spirit responds. You may notice a softening, a warmth, or simply a quiet knowing settling inside you. This is how faith begins to replace fear. To anchor this shift even more deeply, speak this prayer aloud once each day for 3 days. Repetition is not ritual for ritual's sake. It is the gentle weaving of intention into your emotional, spiritual, and physical awareness until peace becomes familiar again. Now receive this simple declaration, a statement meant to align your inner voice with divine protection and to remind you that overflow begins where fear ends. I welcome divine clarity, I choose faith over fear, and I walk protected, guided, and fully supported. If these words resonate, you may gently affirm them by saying I receive or Amen, allowing your spirit to echo what your heart already knows. Your voice becomes part of the ritual, turning intention into alignment. Beloved, let these practices become a rhythm in your days, not as obligations but as moments where your spirit returns to center. Each prayer, each declaration, each breath you take in awareness becomes a step away from fear and a step toward faith. When you choose even the smallest ritual, you signal to heaven that you are willing to meet the protection extended to you. And as this alignment deepens, you will feel the atmosphere around your life begin to shift. Hold this awareness close, for something new is preparing to unfold, guiding you into the next layer of clarity. Beloved, as you breathe into this moment, allow yourself to feel the gentle reassurance that divine timing is not meant to pressure you but to support you. You are stepping into a stretch of days where clarity often rises in waves, not because you must chase answers, but because you are learning to carry peace in a way that attracts insight naturally. These checkpoints, 24 hours, 3 days, 7 days, 14 days, are not deadlines. They are soft markers, places where heaven often meets you with a fresh glimpse of understanding. The next 24 hours may bring a subtle shift, a release of inner tension, or a moment where something that once felt heavy suddenly feels lighter. You might notice a dream that stands out, an unexpected conversation, or a moment of stillness that reveals more than the noise ever could. This is the first ripple of clarity, the gentle opening that happens when your spirit stops chasing what used to overwhelm you and begins carrying a quiet confidence instead. Within 3 days, many people feel a second wave of insight. Old emotions may rise briefly, not to unsettle you, but to clear the space needed for renewed direction. You may find yourself understanding a situation differently or recognizing that something you feared has less power over you than you believed. This is the contrast between chasing and carrying. When you carry peace, understanding comes toward you without strain. By the 7-day mark, beloved, a deeper pattern may begin to emerge. You might see how the pieces of your recent experiences fit together, revealing guidance that had been forming beneath the surface. You may notice that you are responding differently, more calmly, more intentionally, more rooted. These are the signs that your spirit is settling into alignment, that what once felt scattered is becoming coherent. At 14 days, many feel a noticeable release, a sense of forward movement or renewed motivation. Something that felt delayed begins to shift. A choice becomes clear. A worry loses its grip. You may experience a fresh openness toward your future, a lifting of heaviness, or the quiet certainty that you are being guided. These shifts are not forced. They arise because you have chosen to carry faith rather than chase answers. To anchor these checkpoints, take a moment today to journal on a single question. What is opening for me in the next 72 hours? Let your words flow without censorship. This small act signals to heaven that you are ready to receive insight in the pace and rhythm meant for you. Hold these gentle timelines not as pressure, but as encouragement. You are entering a period where clarity will meet you, one layer at a time, guiding you toward the next understanding waiting on your path. Beloved, as you arrive here, let your spirit settle, because this is the place where you learn to move with wisdom rather than worry. Discernment is the sacred gift that helps you recognize when your decisions are being shaped by fear and when they are rising from faith. You have spent too many moments second-guessing yourself, replaying conversations, or wondering if you misread a situation. Yet heaven is whispering something simpler, something steadier. You are capable of making grounded, clear choices when you allow peace to guide you. Fear rushes you. Faith slows you down. Fear tells you that everything must be solved immediately. Faith reminds you that wisdom grows in stillness. Fear tightens your chest. Faith opens your breath. When you begin to recognize this contrast in your body and in your emotions, you step into a new level of discernment. You stop reacting, and you start responding. You stop absorbing everything around you, and you begin choosing what deserves space within you. In moments when tension rises or when someone's urgency tries to pull you out of alignment, you are allowed to pause. You are allowed to claim the space you need. A simple boundary can protect your peace more effectively than hours of over-explaining. If you need words for that moment, offer yourself this gentle script: I need space right now, I'll respond tomorrow. This is not rejection. It is stewardship of your emotional well-being. When you speak it, you honor both your spirit and the situation with clarity rather than panic. Beloved, you have spent enough of your life giving from a place of depletion, pouring from a cup you weren't even sure had anything left in it. Scarcity tells you that if you pause, everything will fall apart. Overflow reminds you that what is meant for you will not vanish while you breathe. Scarcity makes you cling. Overflow makes you trust. When you shift from scarcity to overflow, you no longer fear disappointing others by honoring your limits. You recognize that healthy boundaries are an expression of love, love for yourself, and love for the clarity God is trying to bring you. Discernment also means recognizing when your spirit feels scrambled or pressured. If a choice feels frantic, it is rarely aligned. If a path feels heavy from the start, pause before committing. When heaven guides you, there is a sense of steadiness, even if the step feels unfamiliar. When fear drives you, there is tightness, urgency, or dread. Listen to these signals. They are part of your internal guidance system, placed within you to protect your peace. And hear this clearly, dear heart, nothing in this message is meant to threaten you. Nothing is meant to pressure you. This is an invitation, not a warning. You are being guided, not cornered. Heaven never speaks to you through fear, intimidation, or ultimatums. Divine guidance arrives through reassurance, presence, and clarity, the same qualities rising in your spirit even now. As you continue forward, let this growing discernment support you. Let your boundaries create room for clarity to land. Let your faith override the noise of fear. Something beautiful is preparing to unfold, and your steady spirit is becoming the space where it will take shape. Beloved, as we come to this final moment together, allow yourself to feel the quiet shift that has been unfolding within you since the very first word you received. You did not arrive here by accident. Something in your spirit recognized that this message carried a thread meant for you, a thread of protection, clarity, reassurance, and restoration. Now, as we close this chapter, those threads begin to weave into a vision of what is opening in your life over the next days and weeks. This is the moment where confusion gives way to clarity, where heaviness begins to lift, and where your path feels a little more illuminated than it did before. You have walked through awareness, understanding, discernment, and alignment. You have opened your heart to divine timing, recognized subtle signs, and allowed yourself to pause long enough to feel God's nearness in ways that perhaps surprised you. Now heaven invites you into something deeper, a restoration vision. Not a fantasy, not an empty promise, but a gentle unfolding of what becomes possible when you choose faith over fear and clarity over confusion. Restoration does not always arrive in fireworks. Sometimes it begins with a feeling, a moment of peace, a renewed openness toward what your life can become. In the next few days, you may notice small shifts, tiny confirmations that something within you is settling into place. You may feel lighter when you wake, clearer when you make decisions, or more grounded when you speak your truth. These are signs of protection at work, the evidence that spiritual clarity has begun to root itself inside you. Archangel Michael surrounds you not as a distant being, but as a steady presence helping you release what no longer aligns and embrace what restores your peace. His guidance is not loud, but you will feel it in the strength that rises when you least expect it. Over the next several weeks, restoration may reveal itself in the most ordinary moments. A conversation that once felt tense may soften. A delay that frustrated you may finally open. A worry that drained you may lose its hold. You may look back and realize that the confusion that once clouded your vision has begun to dissolve, replaced by a quiet understanding that feels like clarity settling into your bones. This is how restoration works, slowly, steadily, faithfully. It does not rush, and it does not fail. It unfolds in alignment with your openness and God's gentle timing. As you move into this next chapter, choose one anchor word to guide you for the next 14 days. Let it be peace, clarity, or courage, whichever word your spirit responds to most. Write it down. Keep it somewhere you will see daily. Let it steady you when old thoughts try to pull you back into confusion. Let it remind you that you are walking in a new awareness, one that honors your growth and supports your emotional grounding. This anchor word becomes a small but steady act of faith, a reminder that you are choosing to carry peace rather than chase fear. Beloved, you have done more in this journey than simply listen. You have allowed yourself to be softened, strengthened, and guided. You have welcomed presence into places where isolation once tried to take root. You have replaced scarcity with overflow in your mindset, and you have learned to trust the quiet signals of your inner world. These are not small shifts. They are foundational changes, the kind that prepare you for the blessings, insights, and alignments that are beginning to approach your life even now. And so, as we close this message, you are invited, not pressured, to take one gentle step forward. If this word spoke to your heart, whisper a simple affirmation aloud or in the comments, something like, "I am ready for clarity," or "I receive peace." You may share your anchor word, your reflection, or simply a heart emoji. Your voice transforms this from a message you heard into a moment you participated in. But remember, beloved, this call is gentle. You are free to engage in the way that feels true to you. Let yourself revisit this message whenever you need reassurance, grounding, or a reminder of the protection surrounding your life. Let it be a lantern you return to when the world feels heavy or your spirit feels clouded. And as you continue walking forward, trust that the clarity rising within you is not temporary. It is a sign that you are stepping into a new season, one marked by presence rather than isolation, faith rather than fear, and restoration rather than delay. You are not alone. You are protected. You are guided. And the journey unfolding ahead of you holds more light than you have yet seen.